Kaguya is a controversial character in Naruto and for good reasons. While I have my own problems with her, I don't think she's a completely terrible character, so I want to analyze her place in Naruto. The first thing that comes to mind is her name. Her first name, last name, horns, epithet, being trapped on the moon, and first son's names all have roots in the tale of the bamboo cutter, a Japanese legend. She is also indirectly responsible for reincarnation, which is a Buddhist concept. As I analyzed in another video, Naruto has a lot of references to Japanese stories and religions, so at this point, she has some kind of belonging in Naruto. Next is her background. Kaguya came from an unspecified faraway place for the fruit of the divine tree. Her being an alien and coming from somewhere else does not fit in the story of Naruto. Naruto has always been about humans. She is sealed on the moon by her two sons, which fits the story that she references. Next is her place in the story. The biggest reason for the disdain towards Kaguya is probably the fact that she interrupted Madara's position as the final antagonist. While she is not a terrible villain, her spot as the final antagonist, at least before Sasuke, did not fit. There are things that other villains have that Kaguya does not. A connection to the present and the characters, proper build-up, and an ideological battle. Pain was Naruto's sibling student and the leader of the Akatsuki, an organization introduced in Part 1. Obito was Kakashi's dead friend and was disguised as Tobi for most of Part 2, being introduced in its first arc. He had similarities to Naruto, making him a foil, showing what Naruto could have become if he didn't have his friends. Obito also challenged Naruto's ideals and almost broke him down. He also searched for Naruto's hypocrisy in his own ideals. Madara was a legend from the past that was introduced at the end of Part 1. His and Hashirama's backstory directly led to the creation of Konoha. Additionally, like Sasuke, he is a reincarnation of Indra. He was also manipulating Obito before the start of Naruto, and even after he was revived. Pain believed that sharing his pain would create peace. Obito believed that hope and ideals ended in failure. Madara believed that peace in the real world was unattainable, so he sought to create peace through the infinite Tsukuyomi. On top of that, all of these ideologies have a contradiction Naruto can expose, which lets him win the ideological battle and change the ways of his opponent. Madara is the only one that didn't get to have this battle with Naruto because his fight was cut short by the introduction of Kaguya. Let's look at Kaguya. For her build-up, she is only brought up nearly 100 chapters before the end, around 6/7 through the story, which is extremely late. Though this can be excused by the fact that Black Zetsu, who serves her, has been manipulating things from behind the scenes since Indra, but this reveal is also late in the story and not really foreshadowed. Furthermore, this excuse ruins the agency of Madara, Indra, and anyone else involved. It makes them look like puppets when they previously appeared as great characters with their own goals. Her connection to the characters is even worse. Kaguya has animosity towards Naruto and Sasuke, but only because they are reincarnations of Indra and Ashura, who are related to her sons that sealed her on the moon. She has no interest in them as themselves, only what they represent. While Madara's connection to Naruto or Sasuke is pretty weak, he at least had a connection to the story and a very good build-up. Kaguya's build-up makes it feel as if she was shoehorned into the story. Even if she wasn't, her connection to the characters is almost non-existent, making the battle very impersonal. But I will say this, if she was shoehorned in, though a little jarring, it was done very smoothly, as it didn't necessarily contradict many things, had some kind of Japanese reference like other characters and jutsu, and even seemed like it could have been planned this way. Finally, she lacks an ideological battle. Her goal is to unify all chakra, but why? For greed and power? This is simple-minded and there's no contradiction in an ideology that Naruto can expose in order to change her ways. There is no compromise. Pain and Obito admitted defeat after being beaten physically and ideologically. Madara would have most likely done the same if the opportunity was there. But Kaguya has none of this. She is forced to be sealed with no kind of understanding or chance for change. This makes her fight extremely weak and furthers its lack of belonging in Naruto. In conclusion, Kaguya was a villain with potential. My biggest problem with her is the fact that she interrupted Madara's fight and spot as the final antagonist. But as I said, she had potential. If she was given an ideology, a hypocrisy, an ideological battle, a chance to change, and proper build-up, she could have made for a great villain. Being a human would be a welcome change, and having a connection to characters would have made the battle more personal, but it isn't as necessary as the other factors. The actual arc was fine, and it had a lot of strong and powerful scenes, but but the physical fight was not too tactical and the ideological fight did not exist.